Okay.
That's good, because that's what we can see. So
Doesn't have it on the
I did say, I think it's a work in progress. So if it works, we'll do it again. If it doesn't, we won't. But in the meantime, I'm going to start now. I feel I have to at least make mention of the fact that we know there are horrible things happening in the world at the moment. And if, like me, you heard President Zelensky speaking to Parliament at 5:30 or something this evening, very powerful and very moving. And where are we at? I can't change it. So I'm just going to kick on now. I'm going to sing you a song that I started writing about 50 years ago, back in I think it was about 1969, whenever that was. That was a year, wasn't it? And I added an extra verse a couple of years ago. So here we go. Here come the singers with songs to make us laugh about the rust of day. The must of clay will bring you joy for all the springs that autumn never knew. The dew upon the meadow where the sunset never grew. The magic of an opal flashing blue, blue, blue will bring you songs. We'll sing of a wonder. Do you wonder why a sorrow never shared is never lost? The fingers of the clock hands linger, clutching and reaching, scratching scars that touch your soul with frost. For time is now, or time is never. Here come the tellers of tales, tales to make us weep for all the pain of man. The final plan will bring you Ceres weeping in the cancer of her prime. The children of the famine and the victims of our crime. The madness and the badness and the sadness of our time will bring you tales. We'll tell of wonder. Do you wonder why the day is longer than the day is true? It turns the night within its tightness, holding and molding, scolding life and forcing it anew. For life is now, or life is never. Here come the poets with rhymes, rhymes to make us think about the things we say. The games we play will bring you stranger beats that stir you from within. A turn of phrase might catch your breath, then let it flow again. The words could split your mind apart and set it in a spin. We'll bring you rhymes, we'll speak of a wonder. Do you wonder why the more we know, the less we understand? How ignorance can spread like wildfire, kneading and bleeding, feeding on our greed and lack of grace. For grace is now, or grace is never. Here come the singers with songs, songs to make us laugh away the rust of day. It's just the way of singers since the earth was new and songs were there to sing. Since man discovered woman and enslaved her with a ring. Since laughter fed on sorrow, prince or peasant, clown or king, we'll bring you songs, we'll sing of wonder.
Hey!
Thank you.
Hey!
Got started. Thanks very much. And now I'm going to crack on with the poem. And my excuse being my advanced age, I'm going to have my book handy, just in case. I am a fractal. I grow and I divide, infinitely reflecting infinite refractions. I am a triangle holding up the ceiling. The ceiling is holding up the roof. The roof is holding up the sky. The sky is holding up the universe. How strong is the sky to hold up the universe? The universe holds up the power of maths to describe the complexities of the world, according to Carlo Rovelli, and I believe everything he says because he should know. But maths is exclusive, a language I have never learned beyond its tantalizing edges. Is there another way? A key to understanding how and if not, why not? A loosely structured system to decipher and define the mysteries of life, one complex layer at a time? A language free from dogma, free from the constraints of certainty, that yet adheres to the constraints of probability while maintaining at its heart at least the illusion of functionality? I do believe there is. I call it art. Specifically poetry, of course. But since I know you're all artists out there one way or another, I've got the wrong set list pinned to the computer. Oh, chaos. Okay, a song. This is a song to put my philosophy degree to good use, because it has to be handy at some stage. So I wrote this song, started off as a very philosophical song, and then I thought that actually I could make that a lullaby for a little baby. A lovely little lullaby for a stoical baby. It's called A Merry-Go-Round of Life. Welcome to the playground. I'm so glad you're here. This world that you've arrived in might not be here next year. But there's lots to entertain you as long as it lasts. Take a turn on all the games before they slip into the past. The swings will take you from low to high, get you accustomed to earth and sky. On the climbing frame you can just hang around, right way up or upside down. The slippery slide looks scary at first, but once you've come down it, you'll know that the worst thing about it is doing it over and over, over and over and over again, while the seesaw is more of the same. Repetition is the name of the game. Forwards and backwards and side to side, in and out just like the tide. But if you're more of the circular kind, and the merry-go-round you just can't find, don't worry, don't panic, don't fret. Here's one thing you mustn't forget. This playground of life where you've come to stay is the merry merry-go-round of day after week after month after year after day after week after month after year. But there's nothing to fear. You just need to hear these words I'm going to whisper in your cute little ear. Is there a dog in here? Live in the moment, that's all we've got. Enjoy what's around you. The past will confound you. The future astound you. It's either what you hope for or it's not. What's gone won't be changed, though it might be forgotten. You can't exchange it or even rearrange it. What's to come is no less than a gift that you can't guess. It's either what you hope for or it's not. So make the most of what you've got. Stay in the here and now. You're only meant to be here until you're a final bow. Wow, that tightrope that you're walking is supporting you, not stalking you. Whether it's fun or terrifying, if you believe you're really flying, use your toes to get a grip, to remind you if you slip, not to hold on too tightly. Don't be frightened to let go. Your future is already here, and it's either what you hope for or it's not. So make the most of what you've got. Stay in here and now. You're only meant to be here until you're a final bow. Whoa! That tightrope that you're walking is supporting you, not stalking you. Whether it's fun or terrifying, if you believe you're really flying, use your toes to get a grip, to remind you if you slip, not to hold on too tightly. Don't be frightened to let go. It's a paradox of existence, and there's no point in resistance, 'cause your future is already here, and it's either what you hope for or it's not.
That was wonderful. Oh,
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Great. Now, I've got a story for you. True story. Some years when my husband and I were in the early years of our marriage and the kids were babies, we moved to the Isle of Tiree. It's the outermost island of the Inner Hebrides off the west coast of Scotland. We were there for 3 years. Now, many years later, I set off on a big trip. It was just after I'd handed down my thesis, and as a reward to myself, I traveled over to the States and here in England to see my two boys and their families. And my sister-in-law, Mabel, whom I'm hoping is in there somewhere. Hello, Mabel, if you're there. I know she meant to come in. She lives on Tiree, and she said, come on, you're in Liverpool. It's so close. Just come on in. So the trip wasn't planned. It was a diversion, a blip in the timetable. A visit to friends I hadn't seen for a very long time. To a treeless island, flat but for 3 proud hills, fringed with bright white sandy beaches, tormented by Atlantic gales, whose people are Gaelic speaking, mild of manner and dry of wit. The memories I had were sunken deep, long ago, from oceans ago and continents away from love and loss. Yes, because as the ferry turned and chugged into the Sound, the narrow strip of water that rips the tide between Col and Tiree, I began to recognize the landscape, the gently undulating greenness, the stone white houses dotted here and there. And I was overwhelmed. with the familiarity of it, remembering, but not just remembering what I already knew I remembered. I was living it backwards, like the White Queen, experiencing being alive in the present moment of being there then. Yes, because now there's a wind farm. Can you call it a farm if there's only one turbine? Does it count as a mill if nothing is ground there anymore? The old mill house is a ruin of tumbled stones and fractured walls, whose crevices still ring with the sound of the mill house girls' giggles, their mother's crackling call to come inside, here's your tea, have a scone, they're still warm. And I cried. I'm old, Mother William, the lady cried, and she cried and she cried, and the windy sails turned, and her old heart was bowled inside out, upside down, inside out. Why return, sang the wind and the sand and the tide. I return, Mother William, the lady replied. I returned to be here, I was here, I was here. I am old, Mother William, the lady cried. You were old yesterday, sang the wind and the tide. And the windy sails turned, and her old heart was burned inside out, upside down, inside out. Why return, asked the wind and the sand and the tide. I return, Mother William, the lady replied. I returned to be here, I was here, I am here, with the wind and the sand and the tide. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you.
Poignant.
I have a series of poems that I started writing last year, inspired by photos that would flick up onto my screen when the screensaver came on. I set it to an album in my photos called Kids, so it's got my kids when they were little and big, and my grandchildren. And I noticed this particular one of Roderick, aged about 10 months, sitting in the pushchair outside the house, waiting to go for a walk. And I was reminded of walking on Tyree, gale force 8. You think you've had winds. That's kind of normal. What we've had here the last couple of months is sort of normal for Tyree. So, how strong would the wind have to be before we would be deterred from donning our anoraks, our boots and gloves and woolly hats, tipping the wee one into the pushchair, grabbing the hand of the not quite so wee one, setting off on a grand adventure, wanderlust with sand whipping our noses? As long as our eyes were clear, we walked and took turns at pushing the baby and gambled before and behind, and oh, we forgot the dog. Back we go, her joyful jumping, gleefully avoiding the confining catch of the lead. So we let her run free with the wind in her ears and her tail whiplashing its own miniature gale. We'll stop at Auntie Doris's, but no, the dog is already halfway down the road to Sky Mary's, head full of visions of the collies yapping their welcome, rushing down the pathway, the driveway. So we follow on sheepishly, with extra effort now, the wind tossing our calls to stop and stay back in our faces. But then she does, at the roadside, with never a car or a tractor in sight. She sits and waits, her tiny frame trembling with the effort. Then, leads us safely across. There is hot tea and warm scones and a good blether before scampering home with a tailwind in half the time. Now, flipping back even further in time, there's a photo of Ian, my firstborn son, in his grandmother's arms, my husband Daniil's mother. She'd come down to help out with the new baby. Pixels flicker on the screen, focus, to reveal the baby, curled at ease, confident within the soft curve of your grandmother's arms. Eyes tentatively absorbing the warmth of a late autumnal sky. Lips parted to taste the sweet breath that floods down to fuel your blood, that feeds your will, your joyful spirit, that engages you in games of comradeship and challenges of study, then sends you halfway around the world where you will love and grow your own babies, imprinting your curiosities within their sturdy individualities, supporting their burnishing ambitions, striving to clear the way through hazardous times that they may thrive and grow as you have done into maturity. Your once golden hair now flecked with grey behind the spectacles, distinguishing the care and precision that you bring to everything you touch, extending yourself to accomplish with patience the life you've earned till now. And oh, how I long to hold my baby still. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And one last one from the screensaver set. This is the last one, and it's something that you probably all recognize from our days of family get-togethers over Zoom. 3 windows into 3 worlds apart, tricking us into a shared memory, trapping our faces, looking and seeing each other in a new light. 2 brothers laughing, and I laughed more for the joy of holding you both safe in that moment on the screen, because I cannot hold you both in my arms, not at once, not anymore, not until the screen dissolves and time revolves to place us in one place, safe, a space to relish skin and unmediated voices safely. And I still need to know that my 2 boys are safe. And now in my reverse time travel here, I'm going to swing us right back to 6-year-old Flloyd. Something that I experienced at that age, which I thought was unique to me until I wrote it in a song, and I discovered that there were other people who'd felt the same. So anyway, there's a chorus, so do feel free to join in. I wish I were adopted almost every day. Then my real life mother would come and take me away. She'd love me and she'd care for me. She'd read to me each night. She'd let me sleep till lunchtime and she'd never turn out the light. Oh, I'm telling you, something's very wrong. I shouldn't be here, I do not belong. This family is really weird. The kid turned me at birth, 'cause I'm the child of the totally wild queen of Middle Earth. I'm sure that I'm adopted. I heard my mother say she never wanted get in the way. She tries to lie and tell me, but I'm so glad I had you. She's quite a clever actress, but I know it's not true. I know that I'm adopted, I feel it in my bones. The fake mum really hates me, she never leaves me alone. She talks to all my teachers, and she believes it's true that homework and broccoli are really good for you. Oh, I'm telling you, something's very wrong. I shouldn't be here, I do not belong. This family is really weird, they kidnapped me at birth. 'Cause I'm the child of a totally wild queen of Middle Earth. Oh, hang on a sec, change of mode. Sad. I feel that I'm adopted almost all the time. I think I'll have to run away, it would be sublime. Pretty good vocabulary for a 6-year-old. To find my proper mother, who'd always let me play with water and with matches. And in the driveway, I know that I'm adopted, it has to be the truth. The fake mum's really ruthless, well I'm just full of Ruth. My real mum's on her way here, I'm sure it won't be long. In fact, she's coming through that door before I finish this song. Ho 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 ho. Something's very wrong. I shouldn't be here, I do not belong. This family is really weird, they kidnapped me at birth. 'Cause I'm the fairest, long lost, dearest, sweet and cuddly, cute and lovely. I'm the child of the totally wild queen of Middle Earth. Hysterical. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Seriously, I shall do nothing else. I shall simply carry on. I'm going to sing you another song about something that actually truly really happened back in the day. It's called The Singing Beetle. The Singing Beetle. One day I was driving along in my car, listening to Radio 1. The music wasn't my cup of tea, so I turned over to Radio 3, hoping to find a symphony to set my blues on the run. And as I drove along in my car, listening to Radio 3, a man was describing creatures so queer you'd never imagine in many a year. As his words penetrated my ear, I heard him describing someone like me. Now there are insects that squeak, there are beetles that squawk, and spiders whose eyes wave around on a stalk. There are bright little spark bugs, glow-in-the-dark bugs, smilingly mean bugs, highly unclean bugs, all creatures you'd sooner not see on your fork. And there's one little bug called the ironclad beetle, a creature of habits so dull and so small that if you saw it, you'd simply ignore it. You wouldn't record it or snap it or draw it. No likes and no followers to adore it. And the experts agreed she had no voice at all. What? But in total defiance of the bright minds of science, the ironclad beetle sings out loud and clear, a sweet little song, not too loud, not too long. If nobody heard, was that so absurd? She sings for herself, not for anyone else, all alone on one day of each year. Oh yes, on one day each year, she will sing without fear. You may jest, you may jeer, she just doesn't care, for she sings for herself, not for anyone else. And if you don't want to hear, she won't shed a tear. Now it just so happens I sing Beetle, and it's a very easy language to pick up. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it in a very short space of time. Here we go. Oh yes, on one day each year, she will sing without fear. You may jest, you may jeer, she just doesn't care, for she sings for herself, not for anyone else. And if you'd really like to hear, you'll have to wait until next year.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Okay. And now I write lots of poems, as Ali will testify. Ali, by the way, that he's hiding himself behind a photo that looks exactly like himself. He runs the Liverpool Liver Bards poetry group. Fantastic, great work, good work, Ali.
Thank you.
What was I talking about?
Poems.
Poems, right. I write a lot of poems about writing poetry. And this one will give you an insight into the inside of my head, something you probably don't need to know, but nevertheless, here it goes. Not a word of a lie. What to say? Who to say it to? Why say it? When to say it? Where? Oh, that's right. There is no where there, dear. It's all here, dear. The message is clear, dear. Where you are now is there, dear. Right then, when? Oh, I said that before. I guess the raven understood the score, because if not now, or even then, all that's left is nevermore. There is a thread, a fine and fragile thread, strung with weighty words longing to be said, a thread that winds around my heart, connects it to a chamber in my head. In my heart there is a chamber, a sweet wall lined with walls of unspoken softness. There was a moment when I thought this could go on forever. And then I thought I'd cry. And then I thought, what difference would that make? So I didn't do that. Who said what, and why wouldn't you? Has anything been done about it? What can't I be doing with this? Is this going too fast? Too many questions. Never stop asking questions. When you stop asking questions, it's because you think you know all the answers. I could write a book at this rate. A book of nothing. The book of nothing. I'd call it Post-Apocalyptic Me, a creation myth for the end of the rainbow, or the end of the pandemic, or the end of the universe, or the end of war, whichever comes first. You decide. Yes, that was the end. That was the end. And now there's a song which is also me talking to myself. Use your brain, use your brain. It sits in your head and it waits in vain for you to use it. Don't abuse it. It's the only one you've got and you need it quite a lot. Yes, it's the only one you've got and you need it quite a lot. Use your mind, use your mind. It sits inside your brain, and if you don't find a way to use it, think about it, you just might lose it. 'Cause your mind is your brain if you only knew it. Stir it or flavor it, simmer it or stew it. It comes up with stuff. You might think it's fluff, but fluff can turn to silk if you work with it enough. And silk is a thread, like those thoughts in your head that you weave into fantasies of horror and delight. Twist them or knot them, as long as you've got them. There's no need to be concerned that they'll turn out all right, 'cause they know what to do. It's not up to you. Your job is to nourish them with goodness so they'll flourish. So use your brain to feed your mind. Give it some space to search and find elegant tropes made of silken ropes. You won't be sorry, you'll be in a hurry to do it again and again and again, and never, no, never to cause it pain. Don't do that. Use your brain, use your brain. It sits in your head and it's happy to contain the mind that notices and feels all that life has to reveal. So choose to use it, don't abuse it. It's the only one you've got and you need it quite a lot. Yes, it's the only one you've got and you need it. How much?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Thank you, thank you.
Yay.
Now, we all know who needs to be using their brain at this moment in time, but that's not going to happen. I'm reminded of a song that I wrote 1987. I actually wrote it for a play that never ended up, musical play never ended up being written. But it was a time when our greatest fear was of nuclear winter, which is what happens after you have the nuclear war. And yeah, still relevant. There used to be sunsets, there used to be golden days fading to grays. The sky full of light would fight with the night for the right to die. And there used to be rainbows, there used to be high-class hues of indigo blues, a colourful crown reaching down to the ground where gold could be found. Memory plays some funny tricks, fooling in your mind. You know you've been here before, but not like this. There was so much more. There used to be flowers, there used to be perfume trees that moved in the breeze, and creatures with wings, they'd whistle and sing such beautiful things. Memory plays some funny tricks, fooling in your mind. You know you've been here before, but not like this. There was so much more. There used to be sunsets. There used to be flaming skies, scarlet with sighs. There used to be light. The world was so bright. Now there's just night. And a child with a kite. Is it past porting right? Thank you. And of course, that could so easily lead us to despair. Despair is not a terribly useful place to be. And so I've written a poem called Anatomy of Despair. This time there will be no, what's the word? Reprieve. She was about to say relent, but knew it was wrong. By a fluke, the appropriate term surfaced in the nick of time. Somewhere in the charnel house that is her brain, a kindly, soulless neuron sifts through the detritus to retrieve the lost word. But this is digression. There is no reprieve, no stepping back from the need to take up the knife, dissect the corpse, begin the process of, what's the word? Here we go again. She knows what it is, just can't name it. That thing that happens when the death has no known cause. In this cold, hopeless case, it's hope itself that has died. And the tag on the toe of the corpse reads, despair. But what's the name of this morbid process so desperate to enact itself? The splitting open of the corpse, revealing its gory innards, twisting and curling, slackly inert, offering no insights, merely dry analysis. Forensics? Something to do with forensics. There is no point in persisting in this tedious insistence on finding the right word. The effort of senselessly seeking without finding exemplifies the state of despair. Always, it comes back to despair. Even though the death of hope would seem to confirm that there's no point any longer in looking. And yet, for as long as she keeps looking, hope cannot be quite dead. So despair cannot be the lifeless remains of what was once an animated hope. After all, despair must be hope that is very, very unwell. Thus, despair, anatomized, reveals itself as hope in disguise, a masked intruder who claims to be the devil incarnate and then turns out to be a court jester jangling the alarm, speaking truth to power. "You're in despair," sneers the jester. "You've lost all hope. Then why are you here? How are you coming up with all these clever clog analogies if you lost all hope?" She turns to face the jester, sees herself in the mirror, recognizes herself because she has only ever seen herself reflected in silvered glass or others' eyes. So now it would appear that despair is really hope in reversal, topsy-turvy rather than its corpse. It might be a good idea to lay down that knife and focus on a cure instead of an autopsy. It's an autopsy. Oh, that's what it's called. Ha! Might as well laugh at herself as cry. They do use the same muscles after all. Thank you. Now, this is Frankie Armstrong's favourite song of mine. It's the Wallflower song. It sort of picks up that moment. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember your first dance. They don't do first dances anymore. Kids, they just dance, which is great. Me, I was 14 at boarding school, and they hired a band and hauled in boys from the neighbouring boys' school. So I joined the ranks of girls lined up against the wall, playing at being a wallflower and wondering if this was going to be my life. Do you see me? Am I really here? Do you hear me? Could I be more clear? If you touched me, would I survive? How can I thrive when my skin is so alive? Could you want me? What a question's that. Would you taunt me if I turn my back? Hoping, dreading, longing for the chance to find out what the books mean when they speak of romance. When will it be my turn to dance the night away with a boy who isn't pimply, a boy who isn't gay? I just want a boy, but not any boy will do. It must be a boy who looks like you. Don't see me, I'm not really here. I can't hear you, my ears are full of fear. You are walking up to me to ask me for the name of the girl who stands and twirls into your arms, and I will prove again that I am the greatest giver-upper in the world. When it comes to resignation, I claim the designation. I've given up on diets, I've given up on men, I've even given up on myself now and then. I gave up on yoga, no, I gave up on sports, the other kids were much too rough. I gave up on ballet, my legs just weren't long enough, so they said. I gave up piano when they took my prize away, and I gave up tap dancing, I couldn't make it pay. I am the greatest giver-upper in the world. If there's defeat around, I'll take it lying down. Of losers, I'm the queen, I'm the best that's ever been. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you what I mean. I gave up on yoga, couldn't hold a pose for long. I gave up doing weights, my muscles don't like being strong. When jogging was in fashion, my knees couldn't take the strain, and I gave up back riding, it falling off just causes pain. Oh yes, I am the greatest giver-upper in the world. My failure rate so high, eagles cheer as it flies by. and I don't know how to stop being such a stunning flop. So I guess I'll go on giving up until the day I drop. I gave up writing plays, no one wants to see 'em. My characters are so obscure, no one wants to be 'em. I gave up singing opera, my high notes would crack your specs. And I gave up singing jazz, 'cause my blue notes were too sexy. As if, oh yes, I am the greatest giver-upper in the world. If there's defeat around, I'll take it lying down. Of losers, I'm the queen, I'm the best that's ever been. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you what I mean. Except I've given that up too. I haven't given up taking up things that I can give up. Okay, a poem, a last poem. I think I know this one. If I can remember how it starts. I am haunted by the, did I say it's called A Matter of Time? I am haunted by the present. It ghosts me. The past is a place that keeps me from disappearing into non-existence. We are always in the future. Everything we see or hear has already occurred. To others, we're always in the past. No one is an island, but we are all alone nevertheless. And somewhere, always out of reach, because of course it's in the fourth dimension, there is an antimatter factory. That's where clocks are made, defining that which doesn't matter. They tick and click, each second into and out of existence in a single instant. Here, in our earthly 3 dimensions, we clutch at moments, hours, years, failing to celebrate each eventuality, even as it dawns into existence and dissolves. Now, if I were a fly living at speeds unimaginable, I would capture those seconds rich and random. I would ponder on the sluggishness of humanity, blundering aimlessly round and round, largely ignorant of the wonder, the magnificence of each unending, momentous, instantiated blending of space, time, and what really matters. Well, you've been grand. Thank you so much. I'll thank you again after this, but I'm going to sing one last song. Here we go. It's the tune of this song is not my own. It's a traditional tune called Kingston Hill. And the song came about, I was trying to remember a song that Ewan MacColl set to this tune back in the Critics Group's days. For a mama's play, he took the character of St. George as being the, the fertility, the symbol of life that dies off in the winter and comes back in the spring. And I know it started, when I was a little boy, that's when the earth was young. Many a manly deed I did, and I had my praises sung. And I couldn't remember anymore. So I picked up on it. I started thinking, what about when I was a little girl? Oh, there's an idea. And this is what came out of it. Oh, when I was a little girl, that's when the earth was young. Many a girlish deed I did, and I had my praises sung. They told me I was pretty, but I knew that they lied. 'Cause what I saw in the mirror was what I felt like inside. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. And when I was a teenager, that's when the days were long. Many a teenage dream I dreamed, and I had my praises sung. He told me I was clever, but not quite clever enough to do the things I dreamed about, just other boring stuff. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. And when I was a young woman, that's when the days were sweet. With wifely chores and motherhood, I thought my life complete. I dreamed of raising heroes who'd save the world and me, who knew that hero acorns would not fall far from the tree. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. And as I passed through middle age, the days were very strong. I found what I was good at, and I had my praises sung. My childhood dreams came closer, and for a few short years I strive to make the most of it without favour or fear. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. And now I'm in my senior years, the days are very short. My attention span's even shorter, and my dreams have come to naught. And while I might seem cynical of all my life to date, when it comes to my two hero sons, I reckon it's not too late. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. Oh, when I was a little girl, that's when the earth was young. Many a girlish deed I did, and I had my praises sung. I fought with life 10,000 times and always lost, but then the earth would turn and I would learn to fight all over again. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. With me toor-a-lassie whack, the lassie toor-a-loo-ra-lay. Oh my goodness.
Well done. Thank you.
More.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. So very, 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 very much. How wonderful. Yuko, tuning in from Tokyo, would you believe? Karen in Liverpool, Ted in Liverpool, Betty's in Liverpool. Who's that up there? I can't read it. Who's